Just kidding. I'm not really crying, but when we stopped reading yesterday, we were at the end of chapter 8, and the boy said something that really wounded Ralph's heart. Sorry, Keith is the boy. The boy said, I guess I should have known you weren't old enough to be trusted with a motorcycle, because he just found out that Ralph lost the motorcycle. In my book where I annotated it, I have a little sad face Ralph drawn there to remind us how sad Ralph was, and he was so hurt. So we're going to read chapter 9, where Ralph is going to take command. We won't get to all of it today, but we're also going to learn a big, long, amazing word, and the name of the word is pandemonium. So let's see what it means. Let's read together. So the name of the chapter is Ralph Takes Command, chapter 9. It was a sad night for Ralph, a sad and lonely night. If he went back to the mouse hole, his mother was sure to worry him with embarrassing questions about the motorcycle. She would also expect to help clean up after the family reunion. So Mom's going to be, Ralph, clean up. We made a mess. So he doesn't want to go back there. If he took off his crash helmet, he could squeeze under the door and explore the hall on foot. But he could not bear to part with the helmet in any way. He had no desire to travel by foot where he had once ridden with such noise and speed. So Ralph is like, I could go back home, but Mom's going to make me clean up. I don't want to do that. Is that a good attitude? No. You should help your mom or your dad if they ask you to clean up. Ralph has a little bit of a problem with that. And he thought, I could go out in the hallway, but I don't want to go out in the hallway and just walk around when I'm used to riding my motorcycle. Ralph scurried through shadows on the floor to the curtain, which he climbed to the windowsill. There he sat, huddled and alone, staring out into the night, listening to the hissing sounds of the bats as they jerked and zigzagged from the eaves of the hotel, through the pines and back again. Around the window, the leaves of a Virginia creeper vine shifted in the breeze, so he's looking at the vines and the bats. And down in the lobby, a clock struck midnight. What time is midnight? Do you remember? If you said 12 o'clock at night, you're correct. An owl slid silently through the night across the clearing of the parking lot from one pine to another. Do you remember why Ralph's mom doesn't want him going outside? She doesn't want him going outside because remember what happened to Uncle Lester? They found his bones in an owl pellet, right? Ralph could remember a time when he had envied bats and owls their ability to fly, but that was before he had experienced the speed and power of a motorcycle. He's thinking, I'm not jealous of bats anymore, of owls. Early in the morning, the smell of bacon drifting up from the kitchen brought back all Ralph's dreams of the ground floor. So now he's thinking, I just want to go to the ground floor, please. It was not long until he was embarrassed to discover that Keith was awake and was lying quietly in bed watching him. Hi, said Keith. Oh, hello. Ralph wished he had returned to the mouse hole before dawn, because remember, he's thinking Keith is probably just still mad at me. Well, I guess it's about time for me to go home to bed. Keith sat up. Don't go yet. Wait until my folks get up. Ralph leaped to the floor. I didn't think you'd want to talk to me after I lost your motorcycle. I may never have another chance to talk to a mouse. Ralph was flattered. It had never occurred to him that a boy would consider talking to a mouse anything special. Would you like to talk to a mouse? I was watching a video the other day and I saw a bird talking and really making good sentences, but I've never talked to a mouse. What would you like for breakfast? Asked Keith. You mean we still get room service after what I did? Do you remember what Ralph did? What did he do? He lost the motorcycle. That's correct. Sure. Keith pulled his knees up under his chin and wrapped his arms around his legs. "You mean you aren't mad at me anymore?" asked Ralph. "I guess you might say I'm mad, but not real mad," Keith decided. See how real is in italics, so we use expression when we read it. "I've been lying here thinking. It wouldn't be right for me to be real mad because I get into messes myself. My mom and dad tell me I don't stop to use my head." I love it. Look at Keith. He's saying, well, I make mistakes too, so I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't forgive you for making a mistake. Such a good reminder to us. We all make mistakes, but to be forgiving when someone makes a mistake. I love it. Thank you, Keith, for that example. Ralph nodded. "I guess that's my trouble too. I don't stop to use my head." "They say I'm in too much of a hurry," said Keith. "They say I don't want to take time to learn to do things properly." Ralph nodded again. He understood. If he had waited until he had learned to ride the motorcycle, he would have never ridden off the bedside table into the wastebasket. Remember that? That's when this whole thing started. "I'll never forget the first time I rode a bicycle with handbrakes," reminisced Keith. When you reminisce, you think about something that happened in the past. "I took right off down a hill. I had always ridden bicycles with foot brakes. And when I got going too fast, I tried to put on foot brakes, only there weren't any." "What happened?" Ralph was fascinated. "By the time I remembered to use the handbrakes, I hit a tree and I took an awful spill." Oh no. So Keith is like, I made a mistake one time. I go riding down the hill and I forget that I've got handbrakes. I think that my brake is still down here at my feet. Guess what happened to me one time? I rode a motorcycle into a tree. Thankfully, it was a small motorcycle, but I got a little bit hurt and I never rode my brother's motorcycle again. So I can relate. That's very scary, Keith. Somehow this story made Ralph feel better. He was not the only one that got into trouble. "The hard part is," Keith continued, "I am in a hurry. I don't want to do kid things. I want to do big things, real things. I want to be grown up." "You look pretty grown up to me," said Ralph. "Maybe to a mouse," conceded Keith, "but I want to look grown up to grown-ups." "So do I," said Ralph with feeling. "I want to grow up and go down to the ground floor." Remember, he smelled the bacon? "Everybody tells me to be patient," said Keith, "but I don't want to be patient." "Me neither," agreed Ralph. Someone stirred next door in room 216. "Well, I guess I better be running along," said Ralph. "Say, about that breakfast?" "Sure, what do you want?" "How about some," what's he going to ask for? Can you read it with me? "Bacon," suggested Ralph, remembering the fragrance that had floated up to the window sill. "And some toast?" "With jelly," agreed Ralph, and ran off to the mouse hole, eager to tell his family things were not so bad after all. They were still entitled to room service. So he's like, I gotta go home and tell Mom. She's gonna be so excited. We're gonna get bacon and we're gonna get toast and we're gonna get jelly. But when Ralph reached the mouse hole, he found pandemonium. Read that word with me. Pandemonium. Let's talk about it. Pandemonium is like chaos. Ah! Ooh, ooh. Like things are going on. What's happening in the mouse hole? His brothers and sisters and cousins were huddled together, squeaking with fright. His mother picked up a bunch of shredded Kleenex and put it down again, only to pick up another bunch, as if she didn't know what to do with it. Uncle Lester and Aunt Dorothy were there too, stuffing crumbs into their mouth as if they expected never to eat again. Dear me, Ralph's mother was saying. Whatever shall we? Oh, Ralph! There you are at last! Where on earth have you been? Never mind, we haven't got time. Time for what? Asked Ralph. What's going on around here anyway? The housekeeper, your Uncle Lester, The sheets! Oh, to be quiet, everybody! Ralph's mother was so agitated she could not tell her son what was wrong. Uncle Lester swallowed a mouthful of crumbs. It's like this, Ralph. The housekeeper discovered a hamper full of sheets, and look at the pandemonium. Look at everybody. Do they look happy or do they look worried? Look at that mouse. That mouse looks frightened. And towels and pillowcases with holes chewed in them. Who chewed the holes in the towels and pillowcases? You said Ralph, you're right. Remember, he was trying to get out of the basket. Good job, friends. Keep listening. Oh, thought Ralph. Whatever had happened was his fault. He might have known. I heard her telephoning the manager about it from the office, continued Uncle Lester. The manager came up and called in all the maids and the bellboys, and everyone had to look at the holes chewed in the sheets. It was quite a powwow. Oh no, what's gonna happen? The manager knows about it. Everybody came to look at the sheets. So the mouse family is, oh no, oh, we're in so much trouble. Oh no. I don't know if they're in trouble. We'll have to read again tomorrow and finish up and see what's going on, okay? Thanks for reading, friends.